But you know, you were talking a lot about the names too. And you've said, Vic, that fatherhood has changed you in a profound name. And I know you were very intentional about naming your son. Just like my father was intentional with me, and I'm assuming you were with Vic. Can you share a little bit about that process and why you named your son his name that you did?
Yeah, I named my son Mansa Musa Mensa because I wanted him to have a name that contained greatness, African history. Mansa Musa, widely considered history's wealthiest man. He was a gigantic patron of the arts. He was a huge patron of architecture and of knowledge. Established the universities in Timbuktu, some of the first universities in Africa, or on the planet, some of the first universities on the planet, at a time when Europe was in the dark ages, and people will tell you that Africans have contributed nothing to history. But obviously that's a necessary part of the steal, to exploit and pillage their bodies and their land. But so I named my son Mansa Musa because I wanted his name to contain the weight of his history and his ancestry. I actually had a conversation not long ago with a young white kid who was like barking at me about Mansa Musa having slaves. And it was an interesting conversation because, you know, what I was telling him was, first of all, you need to worry about your own history, you know, before you come and question me about why I would exalt or promote a pivotal, important, powerful figure of my history. You need to worry about your own history, first of all. But also that the story of Mansa Musa is a complex story. It's a story that obviously represents wealth, it represents power, it represents influence, but it also represents generosity.
Knowledge too. Yeah.
And knowledge. And Arab travelers who came to Mali in preceding generations commented that the generosity of Mansa Musa far outpaced anything that existed before or after. And his story is that he gave out so much gold on his pilgrimage to Mecca that he tanked the economy of Cairo for 12 years, that he came back empty-handed. Now, you spend money to make money, you know, anybody with that much money, but not to the point that you come back empty-handed. There was a degree of generosity here, like a grand degree of generosity, of influence, of architecture, and like, I think that it plays into the entire conversation of slavery in indigenous places before chattel slavery.
Chattel slavery
imposed,
is the difference.
Yeah, by European people. That's a great difference. It's not that slavery has ever been a good thing, but it has been a part of human history across the planet, across cultures forever. But then those people were most often integrated into communities and into cultures, and then they intermarried, and generations down, they're not permanent slaves. Right. It's a different thing.
It's even we need different language because it's not the same
and
thing.
Also, I just feel like what I was telling this kid, I feel like when Black people seek to shine a light on their history in a positive way, that it's picked apart by white supremacy because it challenges the narrative of their superiority.
Since I'm sitting with two intellectuals, you know, Ed, my father, like you, was a university professor. My father, like you, was also an immigrant. My father, like you, also instilled in me a deep understanding of who I am, my culture, and they say that books find you, you don't find books. And a dear friend of mine gifted me this book for the holidays, and I got this when I was coming into my own consciousness in college. So I haven't read this in like decades. And so I started rereading it again. And it's The Healing Wisdom of Africa from Melodoma Patrice Somé.
Wow, that's my guy, Maladin. Rest in peace. He just passed away too.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to read some just because it's very similar to what you said about this interaction with this white kid. He was talking about he ran into a white man, Melodoma, similar to you, and they're having a conversation. And he says, it was not this man's observation that caught my attention, but the response of the shaman, a young man in his early 30s, fully grounded in the art of healing. He said that his training had taught him that the white man came to Africa primarily to heal himself, not to steal from the villages. He went on to say, we Africans also believe that we need healing at the hand of the white man. This is why our children leave us. You see, it's the same world, the same house. When someone is sick, everyone is sick. Why should we remain passive while the white man searches the world for the means to save himself? We are together in the struggle. All our souls need rest and a safe home. All people must heal because we are all sick. It's possible that we have been brought together at this time because we have profound truths to teach each other. Toward that end, I offered the wisdom of the African ancestors so that Westerners might find the deep healing they seek. From an indigenous perspective, the individual psyche can be healed only by addressing one's relationship with the visible worlds of nature and community, and one's relationship with the invisible forces of the ancestors and our spirit allies. So when I read that, I was kind of shaken because it like shook me, because I was like, my upbringing is like, nah, bro, that's not the get down, right? And then I had to like sit with these words.
Yeah, it's heavy.
Because it's like, it's the yes and, it's not either or.
For sure.
But wondering what is that passage, what does that bring up for the two of you in context of this conversation?
Obviously, we all have healings to do.
Yeah.
We have healings to heal ourselves. When you are taking a look or accusing somebody of some impropriety all the time, you question that person to change and make a better world, and it's not happening. And most of the time, the change is within you. If you kind of change your mindset, sometimes that problem might become easier to address. But without changing your mindset and completely insisting that the older person is the only one supposed to change for a better world, we run in cycles. It doesn't work pretty much like that. Change yourself is very important. Looking at the world from the point of view of this author and our interrelationships with nature, that's Africa.
That's Africa, yeah.
We live with everything. This idea of a long-bearded God in the sky, the Western people know it's a made-up story. I tell myself, it's about the best marketing story ever created, because it has penetrated most part of the world, and people still believe it. It cannot be a better marketing story than that. But it's not reality. My folks, my father's side, when they celebrate the voodoo, it's not like even yesterday when I poured my libation, first of all, for the Christmas, to thank God for all the graces we are having. I'll pour the wine to the land first. That is the land of which we stand in, created by the Almighty. Call the ancestors, and through them I raise the glass to the Almighty Creator. And we see God in the tree, in the river, in any natural thing. When you see a guy standing there worshiping a tree, he's worshiping God.